a lot of times we don't recognize the stress in our body because we're constantly in motion. And we don't recognize that, hey, you know, my skin is really dry. I'm really parched all the time. I'm always tired. Even when I sleep, I'm still tired the next day. I don't feel like I've gotten any rest because my brain doesn't shut off. All of those things are because you are not taking care of yourself emotionally. You're not taking care of yourself mentally. You're not taking care of yourself physically. So there has to be a point where you stop.
Hey, I'm your host, Ronja Sakata, Queen of Joy. That's how my friends call me, talking to you from Zurich, Switzerland. I want to make this world more joyful and playful and colorful because we don't have a guarantee for tomorrow, so let's enjoy today. Will you join me? I'm all in. I founded the Joy Academy for exactly that reason, and on the Let's Create Joy podcast, we talk visions, dreams, self-care, habits, challenges, creating joy, and much more in motivational solo episodes at the beginning of the month and inspiring talks with my wonderful guests. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at joyismycompass for getting fun and tangible daily inspiration for our monthly topic. You make the difference and you are the most important person in your life. Yes, we can live our best lives right now while we have our big vision in our head and heart. Let's dive right in. Enjoy! Welcome, Sharitta Marshall, to the Let's Create Joy podcast. I'm so honored that you are here, and we just thought we're matching today. How perfect. We're both in yellow if you are listening. And we start off, like always, who are you? What do you do? And how do you create joy in your everyday life? And what brings you joy? These are the questions, and the stage is yours.
Okay. So many questions at once. So if I ask you to say the next question, please know that I'm trying to be present. So my name is Sharitta Marshall. I am owner of Her Divine Alchemy, which is wellness products that are infused with CBD, as well as I am a personal development strategist where I help women to create the pathway to their intrinsic self, or AKA their anchor or center. So for me, the way that I create joy is finding things that give me joy, finding things that give me peace, and sticking with those things, and then losing things that don't give me joy, and be willing to walk away from things that don't give me joy, because I want to live a joyful life. I deserve to live a joyful life. So, for me, those things are so important. So that's really where I wake up and I'm like, okay, today is going to be a great day full of miracles and wonders. I just have to be open to them.
So you are really getting up intentionally and setting these affirmations. That's one anchor you are just using right away when you wake up. Or how do you do that? I mean, it sounds so easy, you know, and when you talk, it's like, yes, she's doing it, obviously. And then I imagine people getting kind of jealous, like, this is not so easy. Life is hard. And where is joy? So I want to inspire people with these conversations and really just pick your brain and get your tricks, you know? So if you want to go more in detail, like how you create your day and really bring joy into it intentionally, please, whatever you are willing to share.
Yes. Well, I want to start with the caveat, like, this was not always me. Like, this is not always me. And it's not every day that I wake up like, yay, great. Some days I wake up like, okay. But it's like, I have to talk myself into like, it's going to be a good day. It's going to be fine. It's going to be great. Like, those are those days. So, I want to dispel the myth that love and light all the time is the way to go and way to be. Absolutely not. I think that is so toxic. I think people need to give themselves space and grace to feel whatever they feel, be it good or bad, be it up, down, sad, sideways. However, if you don't acknowledge those feelings and you try to force a good day, your day is going to be horrible.
And it's like fake. You can tell, like, oh, I'm fine. And it's like, oh, no, you're
not. It's
not.
fine and everything's fine. Yeah. I mean, and sometimes we say that because we're talking to people that probably don't really care. They're just saying it to be nice. So yeah, there are going to be times when you say it, but don't mean it. But one of the things that I have learned through therapy, and I am a strong advocate of therapy, is to one, acknowledge how I feel and start asking myself really questions about why I'm feeling that way and being honest with myself. Because even if I can't be honest with anyone else, I have to be honest with myself. I can't lie to myself because that just, for me, it destroys who I am. So I have to at least be honest with myself. So for me, it all started when I started going to therapy and really being honest with, how I was feeling, what I had gone through, the traumas that I've gone through, the highs, lows, ups and downs, how they got me to that point where I felt so disconnected from myself, where I was just like, I am doing and being everything to everyone but me. And it is exhausting. And I don't want to do it anymore, but I don't know how to stop. So the first thing was just recognizing that was my issue, was that there were so many pieces of me floating around the world that I had nothing left for myself. And I had to start stealing back those pieces. And one of the pieces that I had to start stealing back was the amount of myself that I gave to my daughter, where I would just give everything to her and always be there for her. And then I would have nothing for myself. And don't get me wrong, there were times where she needed that. But then it was like, how do I balance it for myself? How do I still pour into myself? Because I'm like, you can't pour from an empty cup. I need things too. I need to be validated. I need to feel loved. I need all these things. So I learned to reserve a certain amount just for myself that I don't give away to anyone, not my daughter, not my friends, not my family, not work, nothing. It is just solely for me. And it's been a process. It's not something where I woke up and was like, this is what I'm going to do. No, it was just, I had to really sit down and find my anchor, find that part of me that I was not willing to let belong to anyone else but me. That part of me that has joy in, scaring my child because she's quiet and I'll just run and sneak up on her and scare her because I think it's funny. Like, that's me. That's solely for me. It's not for her. Probably traumatizes her a little bit, but I don't care because I think it's funny.
My husband does this all the time, and I'm the perfect victim. I'm so easy scareful, but it makes our days fun. It's right.
Yes,
it is.
Yeah. So it's those little things that if it doesn't make sense to anyone else, but you take that and own it and keep it for yourself, because that's your center. That's the intrinsic part of you that is only you, that no one else can take away. So I started doing little things like that. And then I started resting a lot, even in the guilt of resting. I made it a point to rest, where I was like, I don't want to do anything today. I don't want to cook. I don't want to clean. I don't want to work. I just want to sit in bed and binge watch movies that make absolutely no sense. I want to binge watch sci-fi and horror movies that are just not good psychologically, but I don't care. I want to watch these things. And I started doing it, but then I would stop because I felt guilty. Like, I have stuff to do. I need to take care of my child. I need to work. I need to do this marketing. I need to do content. But then it was just like, I heard someone say such a profound advice that I was just like, yes. They said, rest is productive. Rest is productive. And so ever since I heard that, I just held on to it. I was like, you know what? This is me being productive by resting. This is me recharging everything that I need, letting my brain go completely just silent and numb, watching something where I know the ending of this movie, but I'm just going to watch it anyway, because I don't have to think. I'm not the producer. I'm not the director. I'm not the actor. I don't have to do anything but watch it and then be mad because I'm like, it should have ended this way.
And just because you want to watch it, I just love this permission.
Those are just the things that just kept me grounded in me. Yes, you have to give yourself permission.
And you have to. This is, I think, especially for women, and then especially for mothers. Why is this so hard? I mean, you are in the States, I'm in Switzerland. It's the same, like, ooh, you should better be productive all the time. Is it something we can teach our daughters to not do? What do you think?
Yes. Yep. Because it's, for my perspective, I believe it's steeped in patriarchy. in capitalism. That's my belief. Always working, always doing, having to be a producer of something, I believe is steeped in capitalism, where human beings are just looked at producers of an output, and that output has to be of value. Otherwise, what's the point of you existing? So that's what I believed in. And then patriarchy just says that, you as a woman aren't capable of doing everything, but you must be everything, which I don't understand, but that's just the way patriarchy is. So for me, yes, it's important that I teach that. Like, I teach my daughter, the first thing I teach her is body autonomy. Like, your body belongs to you and no one else. And you don't have to give away your body for anybody's benefit or joy if you don't want to. So even me, it's like, if she doesn't feel like giving me a hug or a kiss, I don't force it. If she doesn't want to be touched, I don't force it. If anyone else in our family is like, oh, well, can I have a hug? And she's like, no. And they're like, oh, she told me no. Yeah, I know. I told her to tell you no. If she doesn't want to, she doesn't have to. So that was something that I was
so inspiring for this other person who is just like a little bit like, what? But it will stick, it will stay in this person's mind. Like, oh, wow. If she can say no, maybe I can say no when I don't want you. It's this upsetting being able or strong enough to upset other people can be so inspiring for the other person, even though in this moment it's like, ooh, a little hard or just it needs energy to put your boundaries in place. But I think it's so important. I'm always amazed by this hugging culture of the States. I love hugging, so I'm like in paradise. But forcing child, I think that's really not good for all the development, like in the future.
Yeah, because that's a physical boundary that you're saying they can't have. And if they can't have a physical boundary, then how can they have an emotional or mental boundary if they can't even have a physical boundary with people? Yes. So for me, I feel like that's teaching her, you can have a physical boundary, and then you can have an emotional boundary, and you can have a mental boundary. So you can create boundaries. And that's the most important thing that I feel like I'm teaching her, is to create boundaries and stand on those boundaries. And if people are not willing to respect them, then you need to get away from whoever that is, point blank. Because if they are not respecting your boundaries, then, there could be other things in your life that they're not going to respect. And then that comes where, we as women start having, we start compromising a little bit. It's like, okay, well, that's fine. That's okay. You don't really want that, but you compromise. And then after a certain point in time, you look at those small compromises and realize those are big sacrifices of yourself that you've given away. And you're like, how did I get here? How did I get to this point?
And then in contrary, I think strong boundaries, some people are like, ooh, your boundaries, but within your boundaries, you can have such a joyful life. And that's what I see in you. Like, you say no to a big chunk of things, but then you can say yes wholeheartedly within like your playground you've created, because you said no, and then you can fill your cup and enjoy life, right?
Yeah, because I can be my authentic self. I don't have to be what other people feel comfortable with me being, because I've learned not to live my life to make other people comfortable with my existence. That's no way to live. And a lot of people do that. A lot of people do that out of necessity because of their circumstance. And a lot of people do that out of habit because they've been to it and conditioned to that. And I say, not for nothing, you can bleep this out. Fuck that. Like, I don't want to live for your comfort. I want to live for myself and my joy, because I exist. I don't exist for other people's pleasures, entertainment, and joy. I exist for my own. And I have to stand, because, I don't know how long I have to exist on this earth. And then when I get ready to go, am I going to be look like, oh my gosh, I was just everything for everyone. And I made people so comfortable with my existence. And I was miserable the whole time. And I never did anything for myself. And I never lived my life out loud. And so many people have gone from this plane with that, where they just lived for other people and just live an existence that was not their own. And I think that is just the saddest way to have lived a life. And it's so unfortunate. And I don't want to perpetuate that for my daughter. And I don't want to perpetuate that for any woman that I come in contact with specifically. Like, I think it is so much on, the onus is so much on women to make men comfortable in this world, from politics to how we dress, what we say. It's all for someone else's benefit, particularly men. And I don't believe that that should be the case.
And that's why you do things differently. And that's
Yes.
so powerful, right?
Yes.
So tell all the listeners and the watchers and me, how do you bring these women who work with you to their, what did you say? The alchemy brings them to their essence, or what? I don't remember your beautiful tagline.
So I help them create a pathway to their anchor, their center, their intrinsic self, that self that belongs to no one else but them. I believe that every one of us has an intrinsic self. We were born with it, but from societal conditions, from, childhood conditions, we have, given versions of ourselves to people in order for our own psychological safety, our own physical safety. And then we forgot who we really are intrinsically. And that kind of lets us float in life in such a way, but not have a fulfilled life for ourselves. So the way that I work, particularly with women, is that I work with you for 6 months, and we essentially get to, hey, what's the issue that you're really dealing with? Is it that you don't really feel connected to who you are from either, birthing a child, having a new job, or just existing in the world that you exist in? And do you know who you are intrinsically that does not belong to anyone else? That is not a mother, that is not a sister, a wife, a friend, or anything else. Like, for instance, I would say, who is Ronja? Outside of everyone else and anything else, who is Ronja? Who is she? And then, once you give me that definition, I'll ask you, do you live that every day? Do you feel her every day? Or do you kind of go to her when you have time? Or do you let her come out and play whenever it's convenient and easy for you to do so? So that we just start down.
Happy to think of, like, ooh, I'm a magician, I'm an inspirer. Yes, I do that. I just had a beautiful walk just through the most normal, neighborhoods to go to the station to get a ticket for a friend of Mika. And I was just like, let's walk, because I have to move my body more. I want to, not I have to. And it was just a very playful, like, walk without any, purpose or just I was just me. It was so much fun. And
yeah, and that's
love your question. This is so helpful. I mean, we will create quotes from this talk, and this is gold. That's really like, are you every day in contact with this?
Yeah, because every time
is it a person or a part of you, or you as
it's you. It is intrinsically you. It is that you that, again, was the part. It was the you that you were when you were first born, that did not belong to anything or anyone but you. That is who you are. But when we go through life, our definition of ourselves always ends up being external, where I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a business owner, I'm a this, I'm a that. You're everything to everyone and everything else but yourself. And you just need to remember how to get back to yourself. So when you're no longer a mother, you're no longer a wife, you're no longer a businesswoman, who are you? How do you get there? How do you center yourself when the life is coming at you, when the world is in complete chaos? How do you go back to you without feeling so lost and so disconnected from yourself? Because at the end of the day, that is the person that's going to save you from the chaos. No one else can save you from the chaos but yourself. So you have to be able to get to her. You have to be able to get to her, know her, love her, cherish her, and have her as a priority. Not just come out when you have time, not just come out when it's convenient, but allow her to exist within your world. And I promise you, she will be the one that creates your boundaries, because she will protect herself at all times. She will. So you just have to allow her to exist more fully in you.
It's not only existing, it's thriving, right? That's the goal. Like, ooh, I'm flying.
She is the thriving part of you, because no one can take anything from her. No one can take anything from her. No one can change who she is. She is the thriving part of you that you always wanted to be and always wanted to exist. But, life happens and you feel like you can't because you have these obligations, you have these responsibilities, but she's always there. And you just have to remember how to get back to her. And that's where I hope you create that pathway to get back to her, so that, she's there. She's there to help you thrive and live a wonderful life that is full of joy, no matter what. Not that you can't feel anything else or feel sad, feel, mad, angry, jealous, everything. But she is always there to show you a way to live within that life and not be stuck within that perpetual sadness, not be stuck in that could have, would have, should have. She's there to tell you, you know what, that didn't work out, but we can do something else. That didn't last, but we can do something else. And it is always going to be okay because she's there for you. So that's what I help women to do, because in my own journey and finding myself and finding that part of me that I refuse to give up, I was just like, this is great. Like, this is wonderful. And getting into the habit of saying no and using it as a complete sentence and being okay with whatever outcome that comes of it, because I am choosing me. The outcomes have been great. Whenever I choose me, the outcomes are great. And I know people are like, well, that's selfish. And it's like, yeah, it actually is. But if I fall apart, none of this works. If
and
I'm
when you say no, I do that in the Joy Academy too, to teach people just to learn how to say no when you mean no, and to say yes when you mean yes. And life is so much easier. And people around you learn that they can trust your yes and they can trust your no. They can ask you something. I learned that from my mother, I think. She is so clear. And that's why I can ask her, or when Mika was little, I could ask her anytime, like, would you babysit next week? And I knew she would say no if she doesn't want to. So I can ask, otherwise I'm having this loop in my head. Oh, she would say yes, even though she wouldn't want to, and that would be upsetting or too much for her. And then I should not ask. And it's so complicated if you can't trust a person to say nope or yes. And yeah, I really like how this is so inspiring also for my clients. One time I had a coaching on Mika's birthday, and she saw on Instagram that it's Mika's birthday, and she was thinking like, oh, I should ask Ronja if she wants to move the coaching to another day because Mika's birthday. Oh no, she agreed to that coaching appointment. So that's why she might be, or she is apparently okay with that date. So I don't have to make this complicated loop in my mind. And then we had a good time together, and she told me that story, and that made me so happy, because we should stop to say yes when we don't want to, and the other way around. Yeah, also with the no. Maybe it makes things easier for 10 seconds if you say yes when you mean no, but after that you have to fulfill on your promise of yes, even though you don't want to, and that's just not fun, just not working for me. So I'm really, I hear you, and I say yes to all of that. It's so important. And it's again a permission, right? It's a permission to be you, a permission to say no. And then you can say yes to the things you really want to do, because life or the day is short. We can't do everything. Even though, like, I don't know, how old is your daughter?
She's 9.
Okay. So like school asking for, I don't know if you have that too, like, we need cakes for the school party. Like, I'm like, oh, I don't like baking. I don't like to do this. So I'm not volunteering. I can do other things, but not that. No cakes from me. Otherwise, I'm grumpy while baking, like,
yeah.
And some other people are like in heaven while doing this cake. So yeah, I love that.
Oh yeah, and it's the same for me. So my daughter's in track, and so they need parent volunteers. And there's sometimes where I do it, and then sometimes where I don't do it. And they'll be like, "Do we have any volunteers?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'll be honest, no, for me, because I don't want to." And I'm like, I'm the only person that says no to them and says the reason why. It's like, no, because I really don't want to. I really don't feel like sitting out there. So it's going to be a no today. But maybe that'll change tomorrow. But right now, it's no. So they know, like, if I say no, I'm saying no because I genuinely don't want to do it. And so they just kind of just like, okay, well, she doesn't want to do it. So they trust that my no isn't like, or I do something and because I don't want to do it. They'll know if I say no, like Sharitta just doesn't want to do it. So there's that. So.
And you know, there is so much culture behind that. Like I saw a TikTok of a really cool couple I admire, but then she was like in bed eating ice cream, and her husband was playing that he was at the family reunion and lying that she was sick in bed, and I'm not sick, I'm eating ice cream, I just watched Netflix. And I was like, this is just a message I don't like. Just tell them, yeah, I'm not coming. Please don't show this off like it's a fun thing to do. It's just not helpful for anybody, I think.
Yeah. And I actually have a family member like that where she really didn't come to any of our events. And everybody was like, why did she come? I said, she probably doesn't like us. So that's why she doesn't come. And they're like, oh my God. I'm like, she doesn't have to like us because she married the family. Like, like if she doesn't like us enough to be around us, then why can't we be okay not having someone around us that doesn't like us? I would rather her not come because she doesn't like us than her come and not like us and just be miserable. And I can feel her miserable energy. Like, don't come. It's okay.
And how is this message landing when you tell women or your clients that this is okay? This is like from another universe. If you are trained since you are a little child that you have to do things because family is the most important. I had another TikTok I saw where he taught his son that I'm just going because your mother is so happy when I'm coming to this like animal park or something. I like, why are you teaching? It's not right for me. If you love this person, do things together. You know, sometimes compromises are okay, but most of the time, no. And I learned that from my husband. He's Japanese. He's so clear and so like, he's not coming if he doesn't want to. He's coming if he wants to. Like, oh, it's so simple.
And I think that's something that's real. And for me, it's always, I think there should be an initial compromise. Like, if, you know, my partner is like, I don't want to do that. And I'm like, okay, well, can you just come with me this one time, see how you feel? And then if they're like, oh, you know what, I really hated that and I don't ever do it again. It's like, okay, fine. We'll find something else to do together. But to constantly force that person to really do something that they genuinely don't want to do, for me, I think that's really wrong to inflict that on someone else. And then to have them have the guilt of, well, it makes you happy, so I'll suck it up. I don't think that's fair. I really don't, because your happiness and your joy should be your own and not because someone else is doing something. Like, you should genuinely have it on your own. So I get it, but I think it's like, hey, compromise to see, let me try it. And then if it's like, absolutely not, then that's fine. But after that, no, I don't agree with that, because you're stealing someone else's joy just for your own. And I don't agree with that. Spouse, child, friend, whatever. I don't think that's fair.
And how do you teach that somebody who is hearing that permission again for the first time? Like, I can't do that, Sharitta. No. So how do you train somebody? Like, it's okay?
It is actually it is rewiring your brain to allow for, it starts with allowing for grace and space for yourself. You have to allow that. Nothing else can come from that until that happens. If you don't allow yourself space to feel however you need to feel, then it won't work, because you're not being honest with yourself. Allowance is honesty. And I don't know how to really explain it other than that, but allowance is honesty. And you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with what you want, what you don't want, what you're willing to allow, what you're willing to not allow. And I always ask them, like, are you willing to not allow happiness, consistent happiness and joy in your life? Are you willing to not allow that to be? Most people will say no. But then if I say, are you willing to allow for grace and space for yourself? Most people are like, are you not willing to give yourself the benefit of the doubt? Most people looking at it from, sometimes I have to start with, are you not willing to allow this for you? And then there's well, no, I want that. And then you have to turn it, okay, well, then you need to allow this. Because most people don't recognize that they don't allow space and grace in their life. They don't recognize it. They just think that, oh, well, I just do this and I just do that and I can't do this and I can't do that. And I'm like, well, okay, well, all the things you're saying you can't do means that you're not allowing these things in your life. And when I frame it like that, they're like, oh, yeah, and I don't want to do that. So it really comes from there, and it comes with an honesty. And then it comes of, if you don't do this, then what? If you don't make this change, how is your life going to be impacted? If you don't stop allowing or not allowing grace in your life, how will that be impacted? If you don't reclaim all the pieces of yourself that exist for everything and everyone else, how can you live a fully fulfilled life? And being honest about what that looks like.
I can't do that, it's easy. I can't do that, so I don't do it. But then if you say, okay, I could do that, then the question appears like, do I want to do that? Then it's like a choosing, another like, oh, I can't do that, so it's off the table. Like this choosing part, like I want that. And that's, again, allowing even just a thought, if it's something you think you will never achieve this, or it's not possible, but I want that. I have this wish in me or this dream. So let it grow and allow it to be there. And whatever appears or happens, the next step, you don't know, but just the starting point is this seed. Don't kill the seed before it even grew a little bit. Just yeah.
Yeah. And then it's always the question. And then I always ask the question too, like, what's the worst thing that can happen if you decide to put yourself first? If you decide to center yourself more in your life, what is the worst thing that can happen?
And what is the answer?
It varies. Sometimes it's like, oh, well, my children are going to be unhappy. My husband might be unhappy. My friends might be unhappy. My work might be unhappy. And I'm like, okay, you said how everyone else is going to feel. So the worst thing that can happen is everyone else is unhappy. Are you unhappy? Well, yeah, because everyone else is unhappy. So you're unhappy because everyone else is feeling unhappy. So your feelings are predicated on how everyone else feels. And they're like, oh, well, maybe my life shouldn't be like that. Maybe how I feel shouldn't be dictated by other people. Yeah. And, sometimes that leads to them thinking like, I always, like I said in the beginning, I'm a proponent for therapy. So sometimes that does lead them to be like, maybe I need to go and talk to someone about, how I feel, how I let other people's emotions and feelings dictate my emotions and feelings. And that's perfectly fine. I encourage that because, I'm not a licensed therapist, but I do feel like I get you to the point where you understand what is stopping you from being that joy and that center in your life. And especially if it's other people, then that's something that you need to work through, because other people's emotions should never dictate your emotions. Like, yeah, you can get angry and upset and sad, but if someone else is unhappy over a choice that you made for your own happiness, then you need to figure out why that's more important than your own happiness.
Don't you think, I'm not a licensed therapist too, so don't you think sometimes I'm a little proud of that? I ask different questions. I'm not tied to this profession which has certain rules. I mean, it's always like my client is the most important, and I really work gently but sometimes it's just so different that they're like, wow, this is good. This brings me ahead. Like just talking about my problems feels like a hamster wheel sometimes. Couldn't it be you helping them, or you just feel like this is this is, I don't know, too heavy for my plate or not my business anymore, and then you send them to somebody else? Or do they decide that? Because I would prefer you.
Yeah, no.
Every time over like somebody with a paper.
So it's a thing where it's not like I would stop working with you, but sometimes in asking these questions and getting these answers, there's some underlying trauma needs to be handled by a professional. And I would just be there to support you while you're working with that. It's not like I would stop working with you and say, okay, we have to stop this. You go to a therapist, you come back. It would just be, me supporting you as you're working through these things, because one of the things that I do tell people a lot is like, when you start doing work, when you start doing inner work, what some people call shadow work, when you start doing that and there are traumas that come up, it's really important that you have what I feel either is a trauma therapist or someone who is a licensed therapist to help you through that, because I don't think you should put that trauma on your friends. Yes, I can help you to a certain extent, but I will always suggest, in concurrency with working with me, if there are traumatic things that are coming up, for you to go to a licensed therapist to talk through those, because there could be a lot more things, underlining things that you really need to work through, that I feel like a licensed therapist can help you work through those and process those emotions, and process those feelings. Because again, when you go through life and you have lived in a way that has been repressed, like a lot of women, when you've experienced trauma that your brain has repressed to protect you, like a lot of women, when you live in society where 1 in 4 women have had some sort of sexual trauma, myself included, things come up when you prioritize yourself. Things come up when you say no. Things come up when you set boundaries. Things come up when you decide that you are your own joy. So in that, sometimes things are really traumatic. Sometimes things come up that you didn't know existed because they were so deeply repressed within you. And sometimes there are boundaries that you need to set with other people and you don't necessarily know how. And it might look like family therapy, where, your whole family is in there because you like, what, my family is chaotic and I need this to be a boundary that is set. So for me, I think that, I am always here to support my clients and I want the best for them. And I will always help them with the tools and resources that they need. And I just know where my limitations are, but I will always be there with, the support. And I'm like, make sure you tell your therapist that you're doing this and we're working through this as well, just to make sure that their mental health and their well-being comes first. So that's my stance on it.
Yeah, that's so true. Like know your limitations. And it's always also like, it brings me joy to work. Like, yeah, the trauma is so dark and really a different construction site where I'm not, it's not bringing me joy to work there. I need somebody else doing that. That's so true. And then you can do the joyful things on top. And that doesn't mean like joyful like this, like anchors and working through your feelings without, or with the trauma being solved or taken care of.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's just pushing it away again. And that's not helpful at all. Like,
right. And then sometimes the trauma doesn't get necessarily resolved, but there's an acknowledgement that it's there. And sometimes that's enough for people, that they know that there's this trauma that happened and they recognize that there are triggers from that trauma that when they experience, this could possibly be the outcome. And they learn how to maneuver their life around that. And that in of itself is joy, because you have control over it now. It doesn't control you anymore without either you recognizing it or owning it. So just in understanding your trauma, your triggers, that in of itself is complete empowerment, because now you have power over that and you can dictate how you react to that and to life situations that trigger you.
And how do you use your products for helping? Like, how do you infuse that? Is everybody open? I mean, I didn't know what CBD was as a term, but of course I know the German word for that. So I had to just learn about that. And could you just, if somebody is just totally new, like having a little introduction and also the benefits and how you work with that?
Okay. So one of the other products that I have when I work with my clients, I have a journal that I have you work with because we meet twice a month. So in between those meetings, I have you journal, what's coming up when you're doing your work. For me, you actually writing it out is cathartic, and it gives a lot more imprint on your brain when you actually use pen to paper. So I do have a journal that I give to my clients that work with me. And then for my wellness products, I have massage oils, I have a pain relief balm, I have a CBD tincture, as well as a personal lubricant. So my products are made by hand. I make my products. I know the grower of the CBD tincture. And really what CBD does is that it has a lot of health benefits, but one of them is to help relieve pain as well as anxiety. So the way that I infuse it into my products is that for the massage oils, I use essential oils as well as the CBD. So when you use it, scent is the closest sense tied to memory. So when you're doing your work and you're centering yourself, I tell you, put some of the massage oil in your hands, take it in, take the scent in, think about who you are, what you want, those boundaries, the life that you deserve. And then every time you kind of drift from that, when you do put the massage oil, that scent will take you right back to that feeling and that emotion. And scent gets you there. Like it could be a song, it can be scent, but typically if you don't have any music or anything that you like, scent will really get you back to that. Cause like a lot of people like, oh, I love, the smell of pie or baked goods because it takes me back to my grandmother. Like that's what scent does to you. So that's why I really heavily infuse the massage oils with the scent. With the tincture, again, that's for internal use, so it can help you relax, calm you, kind of get you to a place where you can start to center yourself. The pain relief balm is a topical pain relief balm. It'll help, if you have some soreness, some muscles, because sometimes things come out physically when we're experiencing things. So that does help. And then for the personal lubricant, I believe every woman should have orgasmic orgasms all the time. And my personal lubricant will make sure that you have that, be it with a partner or by yourself. So I really think that your physical body is the physical manifestation of who you are. So, as best you can, always, always, always take care of yourself and never neglect yourself physically or emotionally. So that's the physical products, is the physical portion of support that I can help you with. But CBD is a really good herb, very misunderstood. People use it where I feel incorrectly because it's not regulated. So people put it in things that is really not beneficial for. So I always tell people, like, if you don't buy CBD or don't buy my CBD products, make sure you know where the CBD is coming from. I wouldn't suggest you get it from a gas station because like they're getting some mass produced stuff. It could have CBD in it. It could not, who knows? They could just slap a label on it. So make sure you know where you're getting it from. Make sure you know the doses in it. Make sure you know the other ingredients in it as well. If you're taking it internally, make sure that there is, a way for you to look at the lab results to see what's in it, because you want to make sure you know it's CBD. You want to make sure you know the dosage of it, and then you want to know where it came from, so that if anything happens and you have a reaction to it, God forbid, you can go back to like, well, this is what I got. So just be an advocate for yourself when you're going to make these purchases, either online or on the store. Ask the right questions, look for documentation. If you feel like, I don't think so, then don't buy it.
Just go to Sharitta and buy her.
Yeah,
right? Let's say it out loud. It's just a fact. I mean,
come to me. Like, and then if you have any questions, like, come to me and I'll answer questions. If you're like, well, I don't know how much I should take and do that. Like, I've done my research. I am certified in CBD. I'm certified in cannabis. So I can answer a lot of questions that you may have if you just want to know before you try it out, or if you just have any general questions, just come to me and I'll answer those. And I do have them on my website too. I have some frequently asked questions, so you can go to my website and check that out too.
No, perfect. Do you start sometimes when you just feel like this is the best or the better starting point? Do you start with your clients like first just taking care of the outside, like the body, or are you always starting inside? Because sometimes I think it's easier to take care of your physical?
Yeah, I'll always so a question I always ask, because I ask myself, is when was the last? Yeah, I think the physical and mental go together. So I'll always ask, and this is what I ask myself too, is like, when was the last time you drank some water? And when was the last time you took a nap? Because I run into so many people that don't sleep or don't rest, and then they're dehydrated too. So when was the last time you drank some water? When was the last time you took a nap? And then for the most part, sometimes people are like, oh, I drank some water yesterday or this morning, or I don't like water. And then when I ask about a nap, they're like, nap? I don't nap. You should be taking a nap. You should, even if it's just you spending 5 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes with your eyes closed, just being still every day. You should just get to that point of centering yourself. So, because a lot of times we don't recognize the stress in our body because we're constantly in motion, and we don't recognize that, hey, you know, my skin is really dry. I'm really parched all the time. I'm always tired. Even when I sleep, I'm still tired the next day. I don't feel like I've gotten any rest because my brain doesn't shut off. All of those things are because you are not taking care of yourself emotionally. You're not taking care of yourself mentally. You're not taking care of yourself physically. So there has to be a point where you stop and just stop. And rest is productive. So then we move on to that, and knowing that, yes, your rest is productive. So you need to rest. But yeah, it goes hand in hand. But a lot of times your physical ailments are from emotional instability.
So you always start holistically and not like, okay, let's get the hydration straight and this and this and this, and then we go, because I mean, people are ready to work with you when they come to you, right? But even though it's like, oh yeah, lotion and some pain relief there where it's pain, that's just the easy to do. But then going inwards is like, oh, that's scary. Or are they as ready as they need to be that it's not scary?
They think they are, but then when I start asking those questions, and they're like, oh crap. And it's like, oh crap. It's like, but it's okay. Yeah, but it's okay, because sometimes you have to do it afraid. If you wait to not be in fear to do a lot of things in life, then you won't do them, because it's a discomfort, and there are so many great things on the other side of comfort. So if you're not willing to be uncomfortable with me, then I'm not the person for you to work with, because I'm going to make you uncomfortable. But the other side of that discomfort is your greatness, and you have to be willing to allow for that discomfort. Yeah, but yes, when you work with me,
during triggering me, you are very kind to me, right? So that's helpful.
Yes. Yeah. But when we meet, I'm going to tell you, like, do you have water? You have to have water when we have our sessions. Like, if you don't remember to drink water any other time, I will force you to drink water when we have our sessions. So we're like, where's your water at? Okay. Making sure you're drinking. And then we're always going to either at the beginning or the end, just take a few minutes just to close our eyes, just breathe, just center and feel our bodies, feel, you know, whatever's going on. If we're feeling any anxiety or anything within ourselves, just taking a moment to acknowledge that and breathe through it. So we're always going to have that in our sessions. And sometimes you just might get a Voxer message from me asking you, are you breathing? Because we hold our breaths a lot. And it was like, oh my God, am I breathing? No, I'm not. Okay, yeah.
And, you know, I listened to a podcast like the day before yesterday, and the amygdala, the center in the brain where like it's such an instinct driven place in our brain. And if we are in stress mode, it's always telling like, ooh, adrenaline, and it's dangerous around here. We have to take care of that. So the stress is high, but only with a few slow breaths. The amygdala is not so smart. So if you are slowly breathing, it's like, oh, danger is gone. And then everything calms down. I love slow breathing and taking that time, but it was like, oh, wow, that's such a cool information to know about. That's why this feels so good. Like deep breath, closing the eye if you are comfortable with that. And then like, oh, it feels so much better already. And that's so cool during the day.
It is. And it's just, it's really weird when you recognize that you're holding your breath because you don't think so. You're like, I'm breathing, my body needs oxygen. I wouldn't stop them, but you're literally holding your breath. And sometimes you'll do it for like 5-10 seconds and you don't recognize it because, after that you start, breathing again. But a lot of times you're holding your breath throughout the day. And that, of course, kind of puts you back into that fight or flight because your body's like, we're not breathing. Okay, what's happening? We're in danger. And so you have to kind of get yourself to like, I'm safe. Nothing's trying to eat me. Like, there are no dinosaurs right now yet, unless they keep messing with stuff.
And then we're also sucking in our tummy because it has to look flat. That's such a stupid thing too. And then you just start to breathe up here and not down into the belly, because if you breathe deeply, it comes out and goes in. That's just the natural way of breathing.
Yeah. And then we're wearing uncomfortable clothes that don't really allow for us to breathe too. And it's just like, people are like, I don't understand why everybody likes to wear the yoga pants. I'm like, because they're comfortable. Like, let people be comfortable. So what? Like, just let people breathe and be comfortable in their clothes. If they just want to walk around in muumuus, God bless you. You're comfortable. You look great. Like, you like, who's the name from Gilligan's Island? The lady from Gilligan's Island that she wore a muumuu on the island. Like, just wear a muumuu. Sorry.
Yeah, and I can decide myself, and I don't have to dress up for anybody. I like to know after you've done all this work, you can just wear whatever you want because you want to, put makeup on because you want to, or today I don't want to. And it's so freeing. Like, I'm not dressing up for anybody today, just for me. And that's why I find LinkedIn so funny, On LinkedIn,
LinkedIn
it's like,
is hilarious.
come on, people, you're penguins all over the place. Can you just wear something you want to wear? But yeah, I think this will change sooner than later. All these men with suit are like, oh, you're so cute. You should do some inner work too.
Yes, that is the goal and that is the hope. And the outcomes that I always have for my clients is that after you spend, those 6 months with me, you know who you are intrinsically. You have your center, you have that anchor that, when life happens, that you can go back to her. And then even when life is just calm and peaceful, you can be calm and peaceful. You can be joyous. You can do things that you're like, oh, well, I'm too old to do that. No, you're not. I'm too young to do that. No, you're not. Or I'm too this, or no, you deserve everything that you could possibly imagine and more out of life because you exist. That's it. That's the only reason why you deserve it, is your mere existence. So when you're done working with me, you know that is your truth.
So beautiful and so powerful. And then when you are there, it starts to feel easy, and that's so cool, right? Before that, it's like, oh, this is like working out, and
it does. Hard. It makes life so much easier because you know that, one, you trust yourself. So when your instinct says yes or no, that's it. And you know that yes or no is a yes or a no, and the outcome from that yes or no will be for your benefit. And, it won't be a detriment to anyone else from you saying no. It won't be a detriment to anyone, including yourself, for you to say yes. So just knowing that is that, going through life, trusting yourself, trusting your instincts, knowing that you will do what is right by you, gives you such a power and allows for so much more ease in your life because you don't have to overthink things all the time. You can just make a decision, be okay with it, and then move on.
So helpful. And I mean, it sounds like a dream if you're really not there, but it's possible. Like call Sharitta, call me. It's really, we're doing similar work with different wording, and everybody is needed for that. I mean, it's so important. And then the world will be a better place because we take care of ourselves. That's like...
It is. It absolutely is. And I think people need to stop looking at prioritizing yourself as selfishness. It is not selfishness. It is our gift to the world to center ourselves, because from that beingness, we give the greatest part of ourselves to the world, whether we recognize it or not. Because when I can show up in my life as my most authentic and joyous self, that is a gift to this world.
It's so true. And realizing that and this and really knowing it yourself, then it's like, oh wow, I can be what you asked me, like, are you in contact with you every day, or only for 5 minutes sometimes she can come out? No, all day long I'm playing with me, and sometimes it's loud and sometimes it's quiet, and sometimes I'm hiding in bed and sometimes I'm at a concert. Like, you can do whatever you want. That's so cool. Thank you so much for all this inspiration. I'm really I filled my tank while talking to you. When you have
awesome.
the last
I'm so happy for that.
The message, the mic and the whole world is listening. What's your message to the whole world? You kind of said it already, but once again, we can't hear it enough.
Yes. If you're ever wondering who your intrinsic centric self is, ask yourself, if there was a universe in which you existed and you did whatever you wanted, whenever you wanted, what would your life look like? And how would you feel? That's your intrinsic self. That is your authentic self. So go find her.
I have goosebumps. Oh, so good. And where do people find you? Of course, we put all your information into the show notes, but it's good to say it anyway.
Yes, so you can find me on, of course, you can find me on LinkedIn if you're a professional like that, but you can find me on Instagram under Sharitta Marshall and Her Divine Alchemy. You can also find me on TikTok under Her Divine Alchemy. You can go to my website, herdivinealchemy.com. And then I will have link trees on my social media that will lead you to a page for my offering. And then you can go ahead and book a discovery call. You have some questions you need to answer first, because I need to make sure you're ready to work with me. And then when we have our call, we'll have another deep dive just to make sure that we are a good match, and it will be mutually beneficial. One, for me to help you get to your goal of getting to your centric self, your anchor, if you will, and then making sure that I'm the person that you will allow to get you there.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being here and showing up. It's super early in your world, and it's evening over here. I just love that we can connect in this forum. Thank you.
Absolutely. I love Ronja. I love talking to you every time we talk. So this was absolute joy to talk to you. So thank you for thinking enough of me to want to have this conversation. I so appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great day, and I will start into my evening now.
All righty, you too. And you take care of your daughter. You tell her it is fine. Now that you know who to talk to. And then sometimes when you're ready to talk to people, ask yourself, is this a good decision? And if you automatically say no, then.
We are working on that. She has great instincts. That's perfect. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Sharitta is amazing, and I know I say that about every one of my guests, and I just mean it. It's true. I'm so blessed, and you are blessed that you are able to listen to Sharitta's wisdom and insights and how she creates joy. And I just love how unique and special we all are. You are special, you are unique, and just believing more and more in your own power. That's where the magic is. That's where the joy lays, and you deserve a life full of joy, where you let go of what's not serving you and create the days full of joy every day in your life, in the way you experience joy or what brings you joy. So if you want my support in that, just check out joyismycompass.com and then Joy Academy, and you will see if we are a good fit for the Joy Academy for working for a whole year. And you know where you find Sharitta, and you get to choose who you want in your corner. Maybe you need several people like that. Maybe you need another coach, but please know that getting help and support is not a weakness. It's a power. And I always have a coach in my corner, always. I book a coach for a shorter or a longer period. The longest was for 1 year. And it's just a luxurious thing to have, right? And an investment, but it speeds up the progress you want to make, and feeling supported by somebody who is just a pro in listening and supporting is so good. Of course, we have also friends, I hope so, but it's another feeling to have this professional person in your corner who sees the bigger picture and helps you to go into the future in big steps. And if that's me, reach out to me. I'm super honored, and I'm super proud that I got to talk to Sharitta and you got to know her and can choose her if you feel like, oh, that's her. You know it, right? You know it, who's right for you. And that's the magic and the beauty, but just you deserve someone who is supporting you in your growth and progress. Thank you for listening, and have a wonderful day, and talk to you next time. Bye.